There's nothing to fear, you can and you will, so set your foot on the highest hill. There's nothing you cannot do. Thank you very much for that introduction, my brother. I'm going to take you with me wherever I go. Quickest talk I ever gave in my life. You make me feel important. Everybody wants to be recognized and feel important. My book had been out for less than a week. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. We're going back to 1991. I get a phone call from my editor, said, Dennis, you're going to be introduced and you're going to be interviewed on the Today Show. They fly me up to One Rockefeller Plaza up on the 30th floor, Rainbow Room, Today Show Studios, and I'm being surrounded by a number of guests who file out there one by one and they're being interviewed. Well, about an hour and a half goes by and the executive producer comes into the green room and says, Dennis, you're up next. I said, okay. I get up out of the room. I go in this room. I look in this mirror. I want to make sure that my jacket is straight, my tie is straight, my hair is combed. I want to put my best foot forward in front of all the viewers. While I'm in the mirror, looking in the mirror, a woman comes in. And she says, you're the guy who wrote that book. I said, yeah, I am. She said, how long did it take you? I said, it took me about 7 years. She said, you got to be proud. She said, who's going to interview you this morning? I said, oh, it might be Margaret Larson, Katie Couric, Brian Gumbel. It'll be one of them. And then she said, I understand that 10 million people watch the Today Show every morning. I said, 10 million folks? She said, tell me the truth. Are you nervous? I said, what? Me? Nervous? What would make you think that? She says, because you're in the ladies' room. Now, everybody tries to be important. We are here today. You let me, Tommy, thank you very much. You are making a difference. Tommy, here's the prototype right here. There's only 4 things, yeah. Only 4 things in life you want to do. Number 1, you want to make a difference, Abe. Number 2, you want to make a difference with others who are making a difference. Number 3, you want to make a difference with others who are making a difference doing something that makes a difference. But number 4, you want to make a difference with others making a difference doing something that makes a difference at a time when it makes all the difference in the world. And Georgia Power, Southern Company, you are making a difference. What do you, Charmaine, what do you got, about 26,000 employees? Did about $17 billion in revenue. You're on the firing line every day. And the best that we can do is emulate your example. Well, I've been trying to make energy work for me. Why? There's no one on the campus, and you're looking at my kids from a number of years ago. Yes, I bring you greetings from my school, Clark Atlanta University, where, like you said, I'm on the faculty, been there 92 to 96. Give you some love, Charmaine. And then I've been back since 2000. And for those of you who haven't heard about our grand institution, and it's impossible, you're here in the Atlanta area, the oldest black graduate school in the nation, Atlanta University, founded in 1865. Yes. 4 years later, Clark College, founded in 1869. You come to my office, 318 Wright Hall, and you take 300 steps to your left, and you find yourself smack dab in the middle of Spelman College, founded in 1881. One of my 3 daughters is a Spelman sister. Oh, yeah, Spelman sister. Yeah. She said, Dad, never mind, we won't get into that. Let me leave that for another Sunday. One of my 3 son-in-laws, you take 200 steps to your left, to your right, and you find yourself smack dab in the middle of Morehouse College. One of my 3 son-in-laws is a Morehouse man, and he reminds me of that. He said, Pop, you should be a Morehouse man. I said, well, it's a little too late for that. But I can say with all pride, sincerity, and humility, down our halls walk some of the sharpest students in the country. Everybody on that campus, Abe, excuse me for calling you Abe, Blacks and Energy, knows my classroom. Why? Because I got a sign on the door that reads, and I think we got it there, if you're afraid of hard work, you don't belong here. And if you don't want to lead, under no circumstances walk through my door. Then if you have the guts, the courage, the temerity to actually come into my classroom, you take about 5 steps and turn to your right, and there's another sign that reads, mediocrity is not the standard in this class. Now, you can be mediocre someplace else, but you can't be mediocre here. Sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. Now, I've been making energy work for me for 25 years, a little bit longer than 25 years. And I just want to say, I pride myself. Yes, I've written 5 books, and 2 of them are bestsellers. And I had the opportunity to interview game changers, peak performers, men and women from all walks of life. Steve Harvey spoke in my classroom. I interviewed Tyrese. He spoke in my classroom. Iyanla Van Zandt, she came and spoke to my class. Tavis Smiley came and spoke to my class. Game changers from all walks of life. And I found 3 common chords in all these individuals. But before I give you these chords, let me remind you something. A couple of days from now, I'm going to be at Stanford B School. Got a presentation out at Stanford. And it's been a while since I've been out to Stanford. And I remember the last time I went out there, right across the street from those who have gone out to Palo Alto, right across the street is SRI. What is SRI? It's Stanford Research Institute. It's a think tank. And this think tank came up with this type of survey that all public speakers can use, that they can judge and gauge the type of audience that he or she is speaking to. Now, what I'm going to do, members of Black and Energy, I'm going to show you 3 symbols. One will be pleasing to the eye. Another, I guess your spirit will gravitate to. And then the third will really pinpoint what's on your mind. And when I show you these 3 symbols, let me give you a word of advice. Usually, your first choice is your best choice, and under no circumstance, tell your neighbor. No circumstance, tell your neighbor. You ready? Okay, so let's go up there. Okay, I'll give you about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, can I see a show of hands? How many people picked the circle? We have anybody pick the circle? Okay, a couple of you. According to the Stanford Research Institute, you're very intelligent. You are very intelligent, smart, analytic people. I guess left brain, have no problem with calculus, quant, and all that. That would be you back there, Charmaine. How many people picked the square? Okay, according to SRI, those of you who chose the square, you're very creative. You don't always use your creativity, but nonetheless, you're very creative. And I guess the bulk of you, the rest of you, picked the triangle. Can I see a show of hands? Okay, according to Stanford Research Institute, those people who picked the triangle, your mind is constantly preoccupied with booze and sex. No, those aren't the 3 common chords that I found in more than 150, 200 interviews. But number 1 is leadership. Number 2, hold on to your values. And number 3, serve somebody. And what do we know about leadership? There's only 2 requirements of leadership. Number 1, the price of leadership is always loneliness. And number 2, you can never be concerned what other people think, say, or do. And as I said prior to, briefly, sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. I don't care what your job title is. I don't care what's on your business card. You are here to lead, and you are here to serve others. And the way that you're going to do that is hold dear to your values. But sometimes the situation won't allow you to do that, and you must step out on faith. Sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. Now, my MBA class, the first case, and one thing you won't find about your dear old professor, you will never find my books on my syllabus. I'm not there to hawk books. My colleagues say, Kimbro, you can make a killing if you, no, blah, blah, blah. But I use my cases. And one of the cases that I like is the Bill Gates case. And we're all familiar with Bill Gates. He goes to Harvard, drops out after 1 year. Some says he dropped out that spring of his freshman year. Some said he made it the fall of his junior year. But the bottom line, he didn't hang around. Why? Because he and his best friend, in between classes, Paul Allen, went to a bookstore right there at Harvard. And they gravitated in the magazine section, electronic magazine that was throwing out a challenge that would come up with anybody can come up with an operating system that would allow 2 computers to talk. We're going back to the late 1970s, early 80s. You had 50 million PC manufacturers, and none of them could share the information because why? They were just divergent. They were very diverse. Bill Gates, he gets this epiphany. This is his aha moment. And what does he do? Spring semester, first year at Harvard. He drops out of Harvard, and for the next 7 years of his life goes to New Mexico with a team of 8 individuals to come up with the Windows operating system. He starved for 7 years. And after years, he comes up with a system, a program that would allow two computers to talk. And what's the first thing a young, impressionable William F. Gates, what does he do? He picks up the phone and he calls the president of Encyclopedia Britannica. He says, sir, you don't know me. My name is William Gates. Me and my team have been out here in New Mexico, and we finally came up with an operating system that will allow two computers to talk. And if you get on our desktop, it's a new term, new lexicon in the jargon. If you get on our desktop, you can sell all the Encyclopedia Britannicas you want for $10 a pop. And what does the president, CEO of Encyclopedia Britannica tell Bill Gates? $10 a pop, young man, are you out of your mind? We sell 24, that's 24 in a complete volume of books. We sell it for $1,000. We're number one, not in the United States. We're number one across the globe, and I suggest you call somebody else. Click, and hangs up on Bill Gates. Sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. A few minutes goes by, Bill Gates dusts off his low self-esteem, summons up the courage to make a second phone call. And this time he calls the president of Encarta. And now, today, Encyclopedia Britannica can't even give the books away. Why would I share that with you? Okay, what is the ideas? What is the visions? You know, what are the innovations? What can you do better, faster, cheaper, but more productive, more efficient that you have harboring in the back of your mind, but you don't have the courage to take a chance? You don't have the boldness, you don't have the courage, the temerity to actually walk out on faith. Sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. What do we know about Martin Luther King? They used the same marketing campaign to get their movement across. And what did Steve Jobs say? He said, don't start a business, create a movement. They used the same marketing strategy to get their point across. August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King got more than 250,000 people on a sweltering summer day to go to Washington, D.C. to hear his I Have a Dream speech. And why in the world did they go there? They didn't go there because Dr. King wanted them to go there. They went there because they wanted to be there. And 1/4 of them were white. And Martin Luther King, he didn't have a website. He didn't have email. He didn't have internet. He didn't have none of that. All he had was his values. And it's the same thing with Steve Jobs. April 2007, Steve Jobs introduces the iPhone. And what happened, man? He got what? He got millions of people, listen, in the middle of the winter to stand outside of an AT&T store in the middle of the night to be first in line to walk in that store so they can go into the home office and say, look what I got. Now, they didn't do that because Jobs told them to do that. They did that because they wanted to do that. And how in the world did they do that? Number one, they held on to the values. And I love the values of your organization where you put people first. People don't care about you until you realize how much you care about them. What the hell did Malcolm Gladwell say? Go get one of Malcolm Gladwell's books. As a matter of fact, start off with Tipping Point. You go read 133 pages of Tipping Point, and what is Gladwell trying to tell you? He's trying to tell you that any problem, and he says it, I don't care what the problem is. I don't care if the problem is shaving bumps. I don't care if the problem is bloodshot eyes. I don't care if the problem is bad breath. I don't care if the problem is you losing your hair. He said any problem. I don't care if the problem is athlete's foot. I don't care if the problem is cancer. He said any problem can be solved if only enough people care. So I don't care if you got a problem with Georgia Power. I don't care if you got a problem with Southern Company. I don't care if you got a problem with any of your entities. What must you do? You got to find enough people who care. And they won't care about you until you exercise and show people your values. And regarding your values, what's the strategy? Number one, don't lower your standards. Never, under any circumstances, lower your standards. You are where you are in life by the standards that you have set. Charmaine, you've been to my class. We got a dress code in my class. I have no problem. I tell my students, listen, there are 350 other professors at this fine institution. But these are my values. If you can't do that, you don't need me in your life. Please, let me get out of your way as you go take their class. But if you come take my class, no, I'm not raising the bar. I'm just placing the bar back where it was before somebody lowered it. Why? This is the university where your most prolific scholar, your most prolific scholar, W.E.B. Du Bois, taught at this school. And what do we know about W.B. Du Bois? Excellence is the norm, not the exception. When you are the best at what you do, two things you don't have to worry about. Number one, you never have to worry about income. And number two, you never have to worry about employment. If you're at what you do, the marketplace will seek you out. So number one, never lower your standards and never lower your values. Number two, get around the best. Go to the best seminars, go to the best conferences, read the best books, listen to the best podcasts. Get around the best. And then last but not least, because we're on a timeline right here, go serve somebody. Service is the price you pay for the space that you occupy. People ask me all the time, Dr. Kimbro, all the people that you interviewed, who probably had the greatest profound impact, blah, 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 the number one interview. And you're looking at her right here, Osceola McCarty. Osceola McCarty, little washwoman in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I spent the better part of a day with Osceola McCarty. And let me give you the backflap story about little Miss Osceola McCarty. Started working at age 8, didn't quit to age 84. She was a washerwoman. Took on the wash of everybody in Hattiesburg. People made fun of her. People laughed. People were cynics. They were critics. I tell my students all the time, everybody that we look up to, everybody that we try to emulate, all the folks that we are esteemed with, baby girl, at one point in their life, they were ridiculed. At one point in their life, here come the naysayers, here come the unbelievers, here come the non-achievers. That's the difference between a desire and a burning desire. Right now, we probably got, if I could, poke a hole in your brains, we got about 50 million desires we want to do. My wife's got a desire, she wants to paint the house. She got a desire, she wants to put this new paneling in the ceiling and everything. Well, we all got 50 million desires. But what's a burning desire? And you listen to me, a burning desire is an inner candle, an inner flame that can never be extinguished. That can never be extinguished. And though the go before you, though the cynics and doubters will come, the naysayers will scoff, ridicule, and laugh at you, you will use their doubt, you will use their cynicism, you will use their criticism to propel you forward. And that's what she did. I said, Ms. McCarty, why are you cleaning up, the laundry of white folks? Why are you doing that? That's all she wanted to do. She would charge maybe a nickel for a little girl's dress, maybe a dime for a male shirt, maybe a quarter for sheets, whatever. She did that for 80 years. And every week she would go down to the bank and make weekly deposits of all the change that she earned. And after nearly 80 years of work, she gets a phone call from a banker one day. And the banker says, Ms. McCarty, as a senior level VP at this bank, I am obligated to ask you the following question. And it's no secret. You are getting up in years, and the question begs asking, what do you want done with your resources in the untimely nature of your death? And there was a pause on the phone, and the banker, he could realize, Ms. McCarty, you haven't been thinking about that. And she said, no, I haven't. And then he asked, Ms. McCarty, do you know how much money you have saved over 80 years? And she says, no, please tell me. He says, more than $250,000. And there's another pause on the phone. And he could tell, you don't know the net value and worth of $250,000. He said, Ms. McCarty, look, in the conversation, do me a big favor. She says, yeah, sure, anything. Will you please come by my office next week and we can talk about this in detail? She said, sure. The following week, Osceola McCarty goes down to the bank and sits in that VP's office. And that banker has 10 dimes on his desk. And he says, Ms. McCarty, these dimes will symbolize your earnings, your worth, the money that you have in the bank. And when I point to a dime, you tell me exactly what you want me to do with it. He points to the first dime. And she says, I know exactly what I want. I want you to give that portion to the church. I love my pastor, I love the church, and I love my members. She says, okay. He points to the next 2 dimes. And she says, well, I never had any children of my own. I got 2 nephews, but, I don't want them to do without. So if you could just go ahead and give them that portion of my money. And then he says, well, what about these other 7 dimes? She says, I know exactly what I want to do with that. He says, please, tell me. She says, I want you to give this to the school in town, the local school, start a scholarship in my name. And he said, you mean to tell me the University of Southern Mississippi, a school she was barred from attending because of her race? And she said, yes. The next week, that bank sends the bulk of her earnings, more than $150,000, to the development office of the University of Southern Mississippi with a handwritten note from Osceola McCarty that said, please start a scholarship in my name, give this money to worthy and deserving black college students who still possess the ability to dream. Who still possess the ability to dream. At the time, President Bill Clinton, he doesn't send a letter. He personally calls Osceola McCarty up and says, listen, I got to bring you to Washington, D.C. I got to bestow on you the highest honor I can give to a private citizen. Scared to death of flying, she takes the train from Hattiesburg all the way up to, Washington, D.C. Never spent a night in a hotel room in her life. For the first time in her life, she spends a night in a hotel. And when she checks out the next morning, she makes up the bed before she goes. They have a luncheon for her at the National Press Club. And one of the journalists runs up to her and says, Ms. McCarty, how does it feel being a philanthropist? She says, what is that? Well, when word got around of this woman giving every dime that came by her hand to worthy and deserving black college students, man, you had billionaires across the globe matching her money. Ted Turner right here in Atlanta called the press conference and said, if this woman can give every dime that she earned, I can at least give away $1 billion. Well, when she gets back to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, there the local newspaper is trying to wrap a nice little bow around this story. And he says, Ms. McCarty, you have enabled the dreams of so many. What is your dream? Do you have a dream, Ms. McCarty? He says, yes, I have a dream, but I don't know if the Lord's going to let me live long enough to see it. What is your dream? Let me write it down so we can share it with our readers. She says, I just hope that I live long enough so I could see the first walk across that stage and receive his or her degree. Less than 4 months later, that picture was sent to me by the development office. Less than 4 months later, Osceola McCarty at May graduation, University of Southern Mississippi, has a front row seat when she sees little Stephanie Bullock, business major, honor student from some small town in Mississippi. The town doesn't even appear on many state maps. Walk across that stage and receive her degree. Less than 90 days later, Osceola McCarty makes her transition. Little Stephanie Bullock, she goes out in the corporate world chasing her dreams, and when she gets word, again, trying to wrap a nice little bow around the complete story, journalist walks up to her and says, your benefactor has died, made a transition. She says, I know. She says, can I ask your comment? Do you have any words for our readers? And she says, yes, I have a word or two. Please share it. Let me write it down. She says, heaven couldn't have gained a better angel. Well, that's my quick and dirty. You don't have to read it in my books. I just gave it to you right now. Number one, lead. Teachers teach, painters paint, writers write, and what do leaders do? Well, damn it, leaders lead. Number two, hold on to your values. Never compromise your values. Never compromise your standards. Never lower your standards. Seek excellence in what you do. Find your area of excellence. Don't be average. What in the world is average? Average is best of the worst, worst of the best, top of the bottom, bottom of the top. Society remembers the achiever. Society remembers the man and woman who fell short of the mark, but nobody remembers the individual who is average. And number three, last but not least, go serve somebody. A happy customer tells 5 of his friends. A dissatisfied customer tells 12 of his friends. You know that as well as I do. If you were met up with a customer complaint, the worst thing in the world you can let that do is let that customer walk out that door without solving that complaint. Why? It takes 19 times the money, the capital, the effort, the resources to win a customer's favor in the future as it is to go ahead and create an existing customer. Go serve somebody. Q plus MA equals C. The quality of your service plus the quantity of your service plus the mental attitude in which it is rendered always equals compensation. Always equals compensation. And don't let the nice customer ruin your business. Dr. Kimbro, what in the world are you talking about? No, don't let the nice customer ruin your business. You see, the nice customer will sit at the table waiting for his order to be taken while the waiter is on the phone talking to his buddies. The nice customer will sit at the table and drink the red wine when she specifically asked for white. The nice customer will eat the well-done steak when he requested rare. Yeah, the nice customer will do that. But the nice customer never comes back. The nice customer never comes back. And what in the world did Maya Angelou say? And what do we know about Maya Angelou? What is her claim to fame? That she wrote a poem and was recited at Bill Clinton's inauguration? Hell no, that's not Maya Angelou's claim to fame. Maya Angelou's claim to fame in 1969, she was the first black female streetcar conductor in San Francisco. And her claim to fame was, years from now, people won't remember what you said, they won't remember what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And as I close it out, come visit me at Clark Atlanta. Come to my office, 318 Wright Hall, and walk into my office. And I don't know if you can spend a little bit of time with me, but if you can't, if you can only spend 5 seconds, walk in and walk right out. And when you walk right out of my office, make sure you cut the lights out. This is Southern Company, right? Cut the lights out, man. We are in sustainability. We do think green. Yeah, cut the lights out. And what's the last image your eyeballs are going to see when that little finger hits that light switch? Above my light switch in my office is a picture of my icon. And I have no problem telling people that. You ask Skip Gates at Harvard, he'll tell you, man, I want to be just like W.B. Du Bois. Go ask Cornel West at Princeton. He has not, I want to be just like, sit down with Michael Eric Dyson of Georgetown. Michael, you're trying to emulate. Man, I want to be just like Du Bois. Well, I'm not any different. I teach at this school. I want to be just like W.B. Du Bois. I got a picture of W.B. Du Bois, and under that picture are the following words, DK. Before you stand before your students today, never forget, a poor teacher complains, a good teacher explains, an excellent teacher demonstrates, but a great teacher, well look, damn it, a great teacher inspires. Let your light so shine that you inspire others. Somebody said it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried he'd hit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, oh, you'll never do that, or at least no one ever has done it. But he lifted up his chin and a bit of a grin without any doubting or quitting, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands that say it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands ready to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait till assail you. But with the lift of your chin and a bit of your grin, you just take off your coat and go to it. You starting to sing as you tackle the thing. Be the best. Be the best in everything that you do. Don't settle for mediocrity. Go the extra mile. As Steve Jobs said, don't start a business, build a movement. Number 2, according to Steve Jobs, make it easy for people to do business with you. Number 3, according to Steve Jobs, fulfill your client's dreams. And number 4, according to Steve Jobs, if you can't do those 3, focus on yourself. Focus on total craft mastery. Tommy, thank you very much. What did Mary tell Martha? He's able.